If you will change, everything will change for you. You'll never be the same. You'll keep growing as you look back on a few months, look back on a few years. You won't believe the progress you can make economically, in your relationship with your family, your friends, and whether you're in sports or economics or whatever. I'm telling you, that whole process of committing yourself to personal change and personal value can really make your life unique and worthwhile. Success is goals. Success is all about setting goals. Everything else is just commentary. If you can learn to set goals effectively and work towards them consistently, it will bring you more success than anything else, even more than all the education and schooling you could ever get. Now, setting goals. Let me show you something that turned me every way but loose. I've never been the same since I found out about it, learning how to set goals. Not long after I met Mr. Schoaf, we were having breakfast one morning. Mr. Schoaf said, "Mr. Rohn, now that we've gotten acquainted and know each other fairly well, maybe one of the best ways I can help you is by looking at your current list of goals. Let's go over them and talk about it." And I said, "What? I don't have a list." He said, "Well, Mr. Rohn, if you don't have a list of your goals, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did, and that got my attention. I said, You mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals?" He said, drastically. So that day I became a student of setting goals, and I've used it to dynamically affect my life. I've taught it to some of my business colleagues, and we use it to do business around the world. Setting goals can turn out to be a drama for your life. Here's what goals are: your vision of the future. Now, there are two ways to face the future, one with apprehension and the other with anticipation. Guess how most people face the future? With apprehension. Why? The major reason is they don't have it well designed. They've left the design of their future to somebody else. And if you don't make plans of your own, guess what? You'll probably fall into someone else's plans. Guess what someone else may have planned for you? Not much. If all your negative relatives turn positive, what will that do for your future? Not much. If prices come down a little, what will that do for your future? Not much. If the economy gets a little better, what will that do for your future? Not much. If circumstances get a little better, what will that do? Not much. If the weather gets a little better over the next few years, what will that do? Not much. I mean, you can go right down this whole scenario list. Most people, all their lives, with their fingers crossed, count on this not much list. That's why 10 years from now, they'll be driving what they don't want to drive, living where they don't want to live, wearing what they don't want to wear, doing what they don't want to do, having what they don't want to have, and maybe becoming what they didn't want to become. And it all starts by counting on something that's not going to count much. You say, well, then how can my life dramatically change? You've got to count on yourself. And here's one of the things you've got to count on: your ability to design the future. It's called the promise. And the promise of the future, if you'll design it well, can have an awesome effect on your life. But if you face the future with apprehension, you'll take hesitant steps all day, uncertain steps all day. And if you take uncertain steps all day for 6 years, you can imagine how empty your life can be. We've got to help our kids with the promise of the future. Now here's what's connected to the promise: the price to pay. But I'm telling you, the price is easy if the promise is clear. One of the better notes to make for today is this: the price is easy if the promise is clear and powerful. But the price seems almost too much to pay, too much to get over, too much to accomplish if the promise isn't clear and powerful. I'm telling you, kids will pay the disciplines if they can see the promise. One of our biggest challenges as parents in the 90s is to help our kids see the promise of the future. That's why I'm teaching financial independence, how to become wealthy, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, and unique. All the stuff kids would hope to go for, it's all possible. This is America. That's the promise of the future. The price? A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And I'm telling you, the kids will pay the price of the simple disciplines if they can see the promise of the future. But if they can't see it, they don't want to pay. And the same is true for all of us. We will pay the most extraordinary disciplines if we can see the promise of the future. It's called setting goals. So I'm asking you to get a handle on the future. I'm asking you not to leave it to anyone else. Don't leave it to the company. The company has its own goals. I'm asking you to set your own goals, your personal goals, income goals, financial goals, health goals, and spiritual goals. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? That's it. The promise of the future. Design your own future. It's within your hands and your capacity to do so. Here's how simple goal setting is. It's not mysterious. You don't have to anchor. You don't have to focus. You don't have to visualize. Here's how simple goal setting is. Change your life, decide what you want, and write it down. I mean, that's how profound this stuff is. Decide what you want and write it down. Make a list. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to share? What projects would you like to support? What would you like to be known for? What skills would you like to learn? Some extraordinary things you'd like to do. Ordinary things you'd like to do. Silly little things you'd like to do. Very important things you'd like to do. Decide. Decide on all that stuff and write it down. Write it down, write it down. That's how simple this stuff is. And it's your own private list. If it's really private, on your list, put some stuff in code where nobody can understand it. If this list fell into unfriendly hands, and simple things, whatever, foolish things, doesn't matter. It's your list. Keep your list with you. I keep my list in my journal so that I can go back 5 years ago. Here was my list, and I'm a little embarrassed. Here's what I thought was so important. Now, how my philosophy has changed from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Here's my old list. Here's my new list. Here's what's valuable to me now. Here's what I want my life to be now. Here's where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to see. Keep your lists of goals so that it shows your growth, shows your ability to change and grow. Your philosophy grows and expands. What's valuable? Setting goals. It doesn't matter how small or foolish it is. Put it on your list. My Japanese friend Toro Ikeda put on his first list a Caucasian gardener. Good morning. I thought that was good. I like that. Have you got this? Profound thing now in setting goals. Here's how profound it is. Decide what you want and write it down. Get together with your wife. Decide. Get together with your kids. Decide. Get together with your business colleagues. Decide. Write it down. Make a list. Okay, that's how easy it is. Let me give you one more scenario on setting goals. When I started making my first list, Mr. Schaff said, "Mr. Rohn, looks like we're going to be together for a while. I've got a suggestion for you. I think one of the first goals you ought to set, you're a 25-year-old American male. Sure, you've made some mistakes, but now you're on the road to better things. You've got a family worth it. Reasons make the difference, and you've got every reason to do this." He said, "Why don't you, among all the goals you're going to set, why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire?" A millionaire. This is America. All the possibilities are available. Why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire? He said, "It's got a nice ring to it. Millionaire. Enough zeros to impress your accountant. Millionaire." And he said, "Here's why." Now I thought, the man doesn't need to teach me why. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to have $1 million? He said, "No, that's not it. Here's why." And I had one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, and I'm about to share it with you. This will be worth the price of being here today if you can capture what I'm about to share with you. Babysitter fees, whatever else you paid, some of you missed some sales today to be here, so this is a costly day for you. But what I'm about to share with you changed my whole life. Here's what Mr. Schauf said. Set a goal to become a millionaire, and here's why, for what it will make of you to achieve it. And I got one of the greatest classes in one sentence I've ever received in my life. Set a goal that'll make you stretch that far, for what it will make of you to achieve it. What a brand new reason for setting goals. What an all-encompassing challenge to have a better vision of the future. What for? To see what it will make of you to achieve it. And here's why. The greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value in life is what you become. The major question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting here? That's not the major question. The major question to ask is, what am I becoming here? It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. So, Schauf said, set a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. Then he said, when you finally have become a millionaire, now what's important is not the money. I thought, wow, I've got some more to learn. He said, no, Mr. Rohn, I'm telling you honestly, you could just give the money away now. I did better than that, right? I told you I lost it all. I'm rich by the time I'm 31. I'm a millionaire. I'm broke by the time I'm 33. So I didn't have to give it all away. I lost it all. Foolish mistakes I made. I'm a farm boy from Idaho. That early money drove me bonkers. I used to say, how many colors does it come in? I'll buy them all. I just went crazy over that first money. I just went crazy. And then I made that one foolish mistake, right? Continuing guarantee, I mean. You know, I'm so naive off the farm, I don't know what continuing means. And a few other mistakes. And by the time I'm 33, I'm broke. Now I've made and lost millions since then, but what an experience that was. And I'm telling you, the man was right. When I finally was broke at age 33, guess what I discovered? My money did not mean that much. It represented only a fraction of all my assets. Schauf said, once you become a millionaire, Mr. John, you can give all the money away. Because he says what's important is not the money. What's important is the person you've become. What a whole new concept on setting goals. Now there's two parts to this, and then we're wrapping up goals. Here's the first part. Now on this goal setting for what you become, don't set your goals too low. Interesting. We teach in leadership. You'll find it on the cassettes. Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations are high. Go where the demands are high. Go where the pressure's on to perform, to grow, to change, to develop, to read, to study, to develop skills. I belong to a small group. We do business around the world. You cannot believe the expectations at that level. What we expect of each other in terms of excellence far beyond average. Why? So that we can each grow, so that we can receive from the group. We can contribute to the group something unprecedented. It's called living at the summit. Go where the demands are high. Go where the expectations are strong, so that it'll provoke you, push you, urgently insist that you not remain the same for the next couple of years, the next 5 years, that you'll grow and change. So don't set your goals too low. The guy says, well, I don't need much. Well then, you don't need to become much now. Here's the last part on setting goals. Don't compromise. Don't sell out. There were some things I went for back in those early years that I paid too big a price for. If I'd have known how much it was going to cost me, I never would have paid, but I didn't know. Don't sell out. An ancient phrase says, count the cost. Count the cost. Count the cost. An ancient story says Judas got the money. You say, well, that's a success story. No, it's true. 30 pieces of silver in those days was a sizable fortune, you say? Well, if a guy's got a fortune, right? That's a success story. No, you don't understand. His name was Judas. Doesn't that ring a bell, Judas, you say? Oh yes, Judas. Judas the traitor. That's right. The traitor got the money. Doesn't that change the story? And the answer is, of course, it changes the story. Let me give you my best opinion. I get paid staggering money for my opinion, so please write it down. Here's my opinion. Each person's philosophy is the major factor in how your life works out. Each person's philosophy is the major factor in how your life works out. I want that to be as emphatic as possible because I truly believe it. Now, up until I was 25, that would never have occurred to me that my personal philosophy was the major fact. If you would have known me when I was 25 years old, and you would have said, "Jim Rohn, how come you find yourself here? This is pitiful. Living in America, you're broke. You've got pennies in your pocket. You've got nothing in the bank. Creditors are calling. You're behind on your big mouth promises to your family. You've been to at least 1 year of college. How come you find yourself in this pitiful position?" If you would have asked me that question when I was 25, it never would have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. That would not have occurred to me. I would not have said to you, "Well, I got this lousy philosophy." What else would you expect? I mean, that would not have occurred to me. You don't jot those little phrases down, should, could, don't. Here's what we call that formula for disaster. And all you've got to do to start now, the process of life change is start somewhere, and it doesn't even matter where. You can start with good health, or you can start with something else. The key is to start by saying, I'm going to start the process in each category of finding by my own research. And that's why seminars are so valuable. That's why information is so valuable. That's why somebody willing to take the time to share is so valuable. Just to help boil it down in some form to the half a dozen few things that take care of most of it, and then let me get on with practicing it. And where you start doesn't matter. The process of life change can start with as simple a process as an apple a day, which means I'm on the road to cleaning up neglect. I'm going to walk around the block. I'm going to get the next book for my new library. I'm going to get a journal. Schaff taught me to keep a journal. He said, don't just let ideas get by. You don't trust your memory if you're serious about really becoming an entrepreneur, if you're serious about affecting other people's lives, if you're serious about fortune, if you're serious about wealth and health. If you're serious, start collecting ideas, go over them and review them, then make them a part of your life and practice, and don't ever look back. That formula helped change my life, brought me to where I am. Now let me give you one more part of it. Once you've found the few things that make the most difference, now spend most of your time working on those few things. That is another part of the clue. The first part of the clue is to get the information and consistently practice it. But here's the rest of the formula. Spend most of your time on it. The reason why a lot of people don't do that well is because they major in minor things. They spend too much time on things that don't count much, and they spend too little time on things that would count. Here's a guy in the last 10 years who's bought 2,000 donuts and 2 books, and this guy says, you know, my life isn't working well. Well, anybody in this audience could give him a seminar, right? Once we knew these numbers, here's what we might suggest to this guy. Hey, this may be one of your major problems. In the last 10 years, you've spent too much money on donuts and not enough money on books. You've spent too much money feeding the body and not enough money gathering food for the mind. And it's not the miracle of your body that works out your future. It's the miracle of your mind. But if you nourish the body and neglect to nourish the mind, I'm telling you, you're going to have all kinds of problems and all kinds of difficulties. So we would suggest, one of our suggestions in our seminar to this man would be, in the next 10 years, spend a lot less money on donuts and a lot more money on books. Food for thought, bread for the head, we call it. You've got to have ideas that feed your mind, not just your body. We might all agree on one philosophy. This is where the value of human life begins to show versus all other life forms. I call it simply a guidance system, settling on certain questions and making decisions about what direction in life you're going to take, setting goals, making plans. This guidance system, I boiled it down to each one's personal philosophy, a guidance system. And we all need a guidance system for two reasons. One, to avoid the dangers. Somebody's got to give us some clues first on how to avoid the dangers. And two, to take advantage of the opportunities. To see and understand the opportunities, take advantage. And to avoid the dangers, it's about as simple as I can put it. A guidance system necessary to do that while we listen to ideas, whether they come from me or from someone else. Be a collector of good ideas. Get more serious about altering the course of your life, and you can. Regardless of what happens the next 5 years, getting ready for the turn of the century, you can wind up where you want to be. The money, the joy, the pleasure, the satisfaction. Set sail.